Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we are back with the DJI Phantom drone because they just dropped a really interesting firmware update that adds a couple of new autonomous flight modes to the device. And we've got points of interest, follow me, and waypoints, and all of these use some degree of intelligence to let the drone fly itself. I'm going to step through these three right now so you can see how it all works. But the first thing I wanted to show you was how you get this mode invoked, because for a few minutes I was trying to figure out how to get everything working. On the back of the controller is a switch, and right now I've got it switched into F mode, which allows this intelligent navigation to happen. But if I switch it off, it's back to the P mode, as you can see, that goes away. So you need to make sure that switch is activated in that F mode. When you do, you're going to get a new icon at the top there, and then you can step through these different options. So let me show you the first one, which we're going to look at, which is follow me. And we did just that. I had my phone connected to the controller, not my iPad, because you need a device on the ground that has active GPS that can get off the satellites versus how the iPads typically work. So as you can see here, it is following me around. The drone is. I didn't tell it where I was going. I just started walking, and my phone was feeding the drone GPS coordinates, and the drone was following me around. When I stopped, the drone kind of tried to center me a little bit, and it stopped. And when I turned around, it would even change its orientation to kind of follow me in the direction that I was walking in. So you want to be careful when you do this, of course, because if there's anything that the drone runs into, it's going to crash. There's no way for it to know what it can actually harm it. So you need to be very aware of what is around your drone. You may want to have it at a height that's higher than trees or something. It isn't very good, though, when you start running away from it. So it's not perfect yet. There are some issues, too. Occasionally your phone might drop out or something, and you lose its GPS signal. So there are some things that you want to be aware of with this. But I found it worked pretty well. I was pretty impressed with how nicely that did work. What I want to do with it later is take it in my car and drive around a little bit and see if it can follow me as I'm driving, because that might be a fun use for it. Not on public roads, though. We're going to be very careful about how we do that. So the next mode we're going to look at is called points of interest. And what you do is you center the drone over a building or something you want to have do like a circular pattern around. And what will happen is you get it centered, and then you fly it out to the length of the radius that you want it to follow in. So for example, if I was going to be shooting this iPhone, I would center the drone above the iPhone and then fly it out like to here, and then it'll just circle it like so. So you can see exactly what this does right here. So this is it. Basically, I just centered it right on the center of the roof line, drove it out a little bit to get that radius set, and then it just kind of follows this radius. You can actually set the speed that the drone flies around whatever you're locking into, and it seems to keep it really, really tight. I was really impressed with how well this works. I was quite pleased with that. You can't get down too low. There's a minimum height, so you can't have it do that around a person or something. It wasn't able to get it down low enough to make it all that interesting if you're videoing a person. But things like buildings and boats and other things that are larger, I think will work quite well in that mode. The last mode that I wanted to show you, though, was the waypoint mode, and that one is where you can actually have the drone go out and follow a path that you specify for it. Now, unfortunately, you can't do that path ahead of time. You have to fly the drone physically to those waypoints to start with, and then save them. You can come back to them later if you do that, but the drone has to be flown there manually first. That was the only disappointment I had with it, that you couldn't just go in here and just tap out a waypoint and then upload it and have it fly. You actually have to fly the drone to those points initially, and then after that you can continually revisit those missions, they call it, and have it fly autonomously. So not all the way as that I would like to see it, but they are being very, very cautious about that. So let's take a look and see how that works out in my backyard. All right, we're going to attempt to get this to navigate autonomously. Unfortunately, you have to get it up in the air in order to set your waypoints. You can't do it from the ground station here. So we're going to take off. We got our display up here so we can see what's going on. I'm going to get it up in the air a little bit so that we're not going to crash into anything by accident. And usually what I do is I get it up to, at least in the last day, what I usually do is get it up to about this height. And then what you do is flick the switch on the back of the controller here to put it into its autonomous flight mode. And we're going to go over to the waypoint option, and I'm going to select a new mission. And what we're going to do is just kind of fly it to where we want it to go and set a waypoint. It's pretty simple. So I'm going to get up a little bit higher here, and we're going to let it fly over there. I don't have a lot of battery life because I did another take earlier, and unfortunately my screen capture didn't work, so I was shooting the screen directly here. So we've got a nice distance away here, and I'm going to let it stop right there. And I'm going to basically hit the record C1 option here. Almost got a bird strike there. So now we've got that first waypoint recorded. I'm going to do a very simple flight pattern here. So I'm just going to turn it this way a little bit, have it fly back towards this way maybe, and set a second waypoint. So we'll have it go over here next and just direct it into that general direction there. It's a little windy today. And I'm going to have it stop right about there. And I'm going to set another waypoint. So we got a second waypoint active now. Now what we're going to do is have it come back towards this way. So I'm going to point it back towards the direction in which we came. And now I'm going to fly it back over here and basically build our very simple course. And a little windy today, so we're going to see some props on the video when it comes back. All right, we've got our course plotted out here. We're at waypoint 3, which is the end point. We're going to have it start over again here and see what happens. So I'm going to hit apply. It's going to give me a warning that we are far from the start point, which is fine. What it's going to do is fly out to that start point directly here. It's going to upload the waypoints, and off it goes. And we're going to see if it manages to do what we want it to do. So it's going to fly in a straight direction to waypoint number 1. So it is on its way out there right now. And hopefully we have enough battery life to get home. And it's flying out there. We have it set to about 7.8 miles per hour, which it appears as though it is going at that speed. And when it hits waypoint 1, it's going to turn and go to waypoint 2. The one thing I haven't figured out yet is how to get the camera to point in the direction that you want it to. So when I flew out there initially, when we programmed this route, I obviously was turning the drone in the direction I wanted the camera to face, but it doesn't seem to be doing that. It seems to be very slowly panning it to that direction so that it ends up at that waypoint with that camera pointed the right way, but I haven't figured out how to get it to do that before. I guess I probably have to set a waypoint in between with that camera pointed in that direction. So as you see, as we're getting to waypoint 3 now, is that it's very slowly panning the camera around here until it gets us back to that point. But it looks pretty cool, I think, and it's a nice time of day to fly this thing too. So the autonomous flight does seem to work. I've been doing this now for a little bit and haven't had any issues yet. Had some birds get a little close to it, but that's about the extent of it. And we're almost back to waypoint 3 where we started from, and here it comes. And that's it. We've got autonomous flight on our drone. So that is the latest firmware update that just came down for the DJI Phantom 3. I have the professional version. This will also work on the advanced version, and I think on the regular version 3 also. What's neat about the advanced version, though, is that you now get a new video mode that you didn't have before. It'll bring you up to 2K video at the maximum. Before it was just 1080p 60, so you get, I think it's 30 frames per second at a 2K resolution, and of course the professional version has the 4K camera at the bottom of it. So pretty cool stuff. Again, I just want to reiterate that although these are very smart flight modes, the drone is not smart enough not to run into something. So if there is a tree or a building or a person or a car or something in between the drone and where it might be flying, it's going to run into it. It's not smart enough yet to know that there are things in its flight path. So you want to be very careful about these modes when you set them, because although you can very quickly flick it out of that mode and regain manual control, the fact is if it's going to smack into a tree, it's often hard to stop it before that. So get it up higher than anything that might be in its path, and you should be good to go. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.